A bit late on the weekend wrap up, folks. It was a year yesterday since my dad had passed away, so a lot of family stuff and no content stuff yesterday, but back to it here. And I'll start with the Premier League because I got to, for the first time in a long time, watch a good amount of football at the weekend without having work. So I got home and I got home for Arsenal's last 5 minutes of extra time, added time. And I knew they were 2-1 down, and I thought, whoa, did not see that coming. You've got to win home games. And obviously, it's a defeat for Arsenal. We know the context of all of those things and what it means for the title race, especially with City going on to win, which I'll kind of group these two together. The really interesting thing for me about the whole Arsenal stuff was in the breakdown on TNT, how they showed how Bournemouth pressed them. Two things on that. First of all, well done, Bournemouth. It looked absolutely excellent. Areola's a good coach. He likes to play that way. We know that. Secondly, immediately I went, that's what City did to them in the Carabao Cup. That's what they did. And a lot of blame was on Kepa in that game, and that's why Arsenal lost it. But you seen through the highlights and what I saw, Arsenal were all over the place at the back, especially Raya in goal. And to me, I got the feeling, the vibe of, and it makes sense to me in my head, this is a team that is told what to do, so well drilled. It's what's got them to this point, no doubt. But they didn't look like they had an answer to be able to fix the problem themselves. And even the coach on the sideline. But I think even more so the players. And I think because of how they are coached and how well drilled they are by Arteta and his coaching staff, there's no freedom in there to try and just let the players work that out in the mix. And that's been Arsenal's weakness. We keep saying that. The kind of freedom element of Arsenal is what their weakness is. And may not have them win the title. Look, I congratulated them a few weeks ago just before the kind of break and said, yeah, that's it. And it should be it. It should be it. But my God, they're making it hard for themselves and they're battling the narrative. The narrative is they're bottlers and they can't get over the line, and they're feeding into it now. They're feeding into it, and I always did think, and I said this at the start of the season in my early videos, this was just, Arteta just had to show that you can get over this narrative if this was to happen. Because rarely do you just go and kind of walk a league and win it comfortably by kind of like 10 points and stay in that position. It doesn't happen very often. You kind of really do have to push to this point. And this is where winners are made. This is where the big dogs come out, and this is what happens. And Pep Guardiola's a big dog. Erling Haaland's a big dog. They've got Donnarumma in goal. You know, big keeper. He's done things, won the Champions League with PSG, things like that. Bernardo Silva in there. Phil Foden's been around the block. There's so many of them that just know how to do it, and as imperfect as this City team is, the second half yesterday, they went out and they just put no doubt, no seed in themselves, and were like, right, we've taken advantage of your slip-up here. And we know they play each other at the Etihad on Sunday, and a big thing again for Arsenal has been they haven't put City to the sword in the past few seasons when they played them, and they're going to have to do it on Sunday, because if they let City beat them at the Etihad, and then all of a sudden it is just absolute pure chaos, and it's the manager and Pep Guardiola, one of the greatest managers we've seen, chasing Arsenal down. And the title of this video is going to be about this, but I had a good chat with my cousin Jamie when I was watching the Hearts game, and we'll get into the Scottish games in a second. You know, a lot of people talk about data, and this guy came into his work, and, you know, all his friends own all these analytics companies, and they're like, oh, well, it's for Hearts. You know, they're going to win the league. The data shows it. The data proves it. And we had this chat, and it's like, but one thing football doesn't take into account is momentum and nerves and feelings and things that Arsenal are probably going through right now, and also Hearts are going through themselves. The data doesn't take that into account, and the data also doesn't take into account weather conditions, form of teams, you know, mentality, the teams that you're playing against. Like Bournemouth have a little bit of freedom. We're getting to that point in the season where teams that are not fighting relegation, not going to get into Europe, obviously not going for the title, Champions League spots, there's a little bit of a freedom of element of just go do what you want out there. And that can be hard to play against. That can be very, very hard to play against. And data just doesn't take that into account. And that's where, this is where the greats do it, the great players, the great managers do it. They're able to handle what truly is the feeling in the moment as a person and as a team and as a players, and be able to arouse them and get them going there. And we'll see if Arteta can do it. We will see if Arteta can do it, because we know Pep Guardiola can do it. But absolutely massive there in the title race. Arsenal fans, let me know how you're feeling in the comments. I'm sure you guys are getting a lot of shit this weekend. And look, you've got to play a European game as well, and City don't. And City have the full week to prepare for you guys coming up, and they'll have got the blueprint in the Carabao Cup. They'll have seen Bournemouth do there, so I'm interested to see from a coaching point of view how Arteta can kind of handle that on Sunday at the Etihad. Sorry, what game that's going to be. Just quickly elsewhere in England, Newcastle lose again, home to Palace. Last minute penalty, not great. Spurs world of trouble. Haven't seen highlights or anything yet, but absolute world of trouble. They are just continuing. I said De Zerbi's probably going to come in and crash and burn. It's his first game. I'll check the highlights out when I go inside, but not a good result. Liverpool get a good win. Young lad, real great. You know, used him a lot. Gave the ball to him a lot. You can see a lot of moments why he's not being played and why he's still young and he gets shoved off the ball easily, but on the ball going forwards, you can see what he can offer. Slot's got to play him against PSG in the week and get that washing machine going, and he's the type of player that can just keep running at you and making things happen and cause you a bit of trouble, and then you never know. Then we have Scotland. I managed to watch the whole Hearts game on Saturday, and look, Hearts, again, I tweeted this out. Hearts, again, first 20 minutes, brilliant, excellent, on top of Motherwell, doing everything you should do in a title race at home, trying to get that early goal, and then they don't. And then the game kind of goes a bit 50-50-ish. Motherwell gets some chances, and it's 0-0 at half-time, and then Motherwell score. And the Hearts are 1-0 down, and I'm like, I don't see where Hearts have 2 goals in them. One, of course, get an equaliser, get a point, but I don't see where Hearts have 2 goals in them. And all of a sudden, they end up winning the game 3-1, and that has been Hearts this season. I think that literal structure of the game that I've just broken down has been Hearts this season, and it's just now more about mentality than it is really about anything else. About performance is not necessarily the most important thing. Of course, the result is obviously with the points, but it's about mentality, and they have a manager that looks like he's got it, like Shankland and Halkett, and the core of the team look like they have that mentality, and, you know, they had the opportunity to put the pressure on. Celtic were playing at the same time, but Rangers obviously play yesterday. They play on Sunday, so they have a chance to put the pressure on Rangers there, and they've gone and done it, and Hearts are going to absolutely have to, same as Arsenal, you have to win every single home game, no question, and you need to see what you can go and do when you're away from home and how the other results play out. But very, very interesting. Kizadiris has been found out a little bit, hasn't he? Maybe not found out's the right word, but the impact of him is in terms of like getting goals, and, you know, he just seems to kind of do the same thing, and that's another interesting thing about Data. You know, he's come in, he's done very well, he's a great player for Hearts in the front three, don't get me wrong, but what do you do as a player when people have kind of worked you out a little bit and they've played against you a lot, and especially in Scotland when you play each other so many times, people have kind of worked you out, mate, so how do you evolve your game and improve it? And Data and stats can't do that for you. You know, Shanklin, we know what Shanklin's like, takes the penalty off the inside of the post, and then luckily Braga for me is a standout. I mean, just everything, he just one of those guys that like reads the bounce of the ball well in the air, and just all those little bits again of football that's just really, really good to see in a football player. He's excellent. I thought Cammy Devlin was excellent. It's good having him and Benigame back in there together. They play really, really well. Kabori all of a sudden turns into Yamal with his offside goal at the end there for a man that can't touch. So all good for Hearts. And yeah, it's the break now. And it's Hibs when they come back, and Hibs will be looking to spoil the party. So we'll see what happens there. Just quickly to finish it off on Rangers. I watched the second half yesterday. I was checking the score on my phone, picked up my brother Matthew from been in a stag do, so picked him up after that. So missed the first half, came home, 2-1. I thought, oh, okay, goal for Rangers there just before half-time is big. Watched the whole second half, and Rangers were just relentless. It was like a steam train rolling through a decent Falkirk side, as we all know, who deserve a load of praise this season. 2-2, 3-2, 4-2, and it was just like, holy shit. And I said, obviously, beforehand, Rangers have got the goals in them. They end up finishing with 6. They really do, but a massive telling point in there for me was when Falkirk get the penalty and they score to make it 4-3, and you think, okay, here's a little bit of pressure on you. Rangers get the ball and they pretty much go up the other end and make it 5. And you're just like, there you go. There's a mentality, and just how every goal was celebrated sometimes as well. You see Danny Roll, you see how the players are celebrating it. The fans are obviously loving it. And I'm just thinking, yeah, it's a bit of a juggernaut, and they've got momentum, and the break might kind of hurt Rangers the most here. Hearts are going to get time to get Shanklin and Devlin on the training pitch and get their fitness back up to speed, and Benigame and all those players. And the break might just not help Rangers a little bit. But obviously Hearts having Hibs when they come back is massive. Rangers just look good going forwards. I've said that. They look good. 6 goals away from home to Falkirk's massive. But you've seen in the first half what could happen away from home. And I said that's where the weakness probably lies. Celtic, I think, will just drop points, and they'll just not quite be able to do it. I know they keep winning. They're obviously still in the mix, but I don't know. They're the outsider of the 3 for me there. So let me know your guys' thoughts on the title race in Scotland. It's coming to a great close, isn't it? The split's going to be insane, man. It's going to be insane. We've all been waiting for that, so I can't wait. Yeah, drop your thoughts in the comments on that one. It's a lovely day today. It's a lovely day today here in East Lothian in Scotland. The wind's kind of died down. The sun's out. It's still a wee bit cold, but we are absolutely getting there, and we're not far off the league season finishing as a whole. this is it. We're in the mix for all the big trophies, and we've got storylines all over the place in multiple leagues and Europe, and all of those things have kicked into gear. So absolutely love it. As always, if you enjoy the video, this is my weekend wrap up. This is what I do after the weekends. Yeah, this will be something that subscribers will get first when we get to the point for YouTube memberships, and potentially just be subscriber only as it kind of grows and builds. But yeah, until the next one, have a good one, all right? Peace.